Okay, good morning, and welcome to Red Hat Summit. I hope you've had an enjoyable time. It's certainly been an interesting kickoff with the middleware demo last night, and then of course Jim's keynote and IBM's and the party. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully you all made it. It was, in fact, the stuff we saw in the demo, we're going to kind of uplift it and talk about this from a business scenario today. My name is Pierre Fricke. I'm Director of Product Marketing for JBoss. I've been with JBoss, actually when JBoss was a standalone company in 2005, and I've been with Red Hat since we were bought in 2006 for the last 9 years. And my colleague Ken Johnson.
Hi, Ken Johnson here, Director of Product Management for the integration products in the middleware portfolio here at Red Hat. Just a quick survey, how many people here from the US? All right, good, most of you. Two numbers to keep in mind. What's today's date? April 15th, right? And this presentation starts at 10:40 a.m. Do these numbers ring a bell with anyone? Sorry, couldn't resist. Somebody pointed it out to me before. I thought I'd share that. So
if you stay,
it's tax day here, folks.
If you stay to the end, your refunds will be in the back. So Ken will. I'm going to start off, and let me just say a couple of things. This is going to be a business level presentation. We will get into some technology. It's not going to be, that high level. I mean, that's why I gave it a two-star rating on the technology scale. So we will get into some technology. I'm going to start off with an innovative retailer story that's based on a composite of customers we've worked with, some of which have been featured in past summits, some of which remain confidential, some of which have shown up as innovative award winners or runners-up and things like that. So it's going to be kind of a fun scenario we can all relate to. And it's actually going to talk about how our middleware, how JBoss Middleware and cloud can help actually create and help enable an innovative retailer. I'm going to turn it over to Ken, who's going to then go into some of the customers that underlie the overall story. Some of the customers we've worked with, and give you an overview of some of the deployments that customers have done. And then he's going to give it back to me. I'm going to wrap up with an insurance scenario, just to show that it's not just all about retail, that accelerating, integrating, automating your business and becoming an innovative retailer or innovative company is very across all verticals. So let's get started. Three numbers here to start off with and think about: 81%, 78%, and 59%. So these are the three important numbers in the retail space. And according to an American Express survey in 2011, which I think is still valid today, actually may even be stronger today, 81% of companies with capability to deliver a customer experience excellence outperform their competition. That's what a lot of what we hear about. We heard about it with Jim's keynote. We're going to hear about this whole week. It's not just about the systems of record in the back office, although those remain very important to support the front office. But there's a lot of innovation going on in the front office of the systems engagement, and that's actually critical. 81% of the companies that can deliver better on the front end customer experiences will win. 78% of consumers actually deferred purchases or went elsewhere due to poor service experiences. And that also filters into this. 59% of the people would try a new brand or a company for better service experience. So these are the things to think about. This is in the retail industry, but think about your industry. You serve customers, whether it be B2B or B2C. These kinds of things are important to think about from a business perspective. Certainly if you're in IT, your business people are thinking about these things, and the things to be able to win here is what we're going to talk about, that you can actually help them win. So here's sort of another kind of a grabber that gets people's attention. Why are retailers cutting their customers and their profits up into pieces? And that's kind of a bold statement, and it shows sort of a customer kind of chopped up there. But it really revolves around the problem. One of the biggest problems that retailers and many companies in large and any vertical have is that many companies, the IT infrastructure can't present a holistic view of the customer, partner, patient, or whatever it might be. And so, that's a big challenge. How can our IT infrastructure that's actually executing business processes and applications get a holistic view of the customer so they can make intelligent decisions about what to provide that customer, partner, or patient? And so you really don't want to lose your customers. Today's business environment's a fight and a challenge to delight these customers and keep them. And so enterprises are really dialing up creativity. Certainly with the online experiences you get with Amazon and some of those kinds of competition, if you're a brick and mortar shop, you got to think about other types of ways of engaging customers and satisfying them. Certainly, IT needs to help do that. drive loyalty leadership, drive satisfaction, by presenting, of offers and opportunities to the customers that help them enjoy their retail experience a lot better. So really, to be able to satisfy these customers requires a deep understanding of who the customer is, what they want, where they are, and when they are where they are, and what's going on around the customer at the particular time. And so that's something, here you got Acme, let's call it the traditional retailer, and then the innovative retailer is getting the customers. So let's look at this, slicing up the customer a little bit more. The key to being able to satisfy customers is understand the customers, learn who they are and what their wants and needs are. So here I got on the left-hand side, we've got these enterprise apps. You've got in-store apps, you've got mobile apps, you've got customer credit type apps, you've got historical databases and information about how the customers interacted with you. Some of these things are focused on the cloud. You may have some BPM processes, business processes, and things like that. A major factor in becoming an innovative retailer is understanding customers holistically, who they are, what they want, where they need it, when they are, and how. Unfortunately, most IT infrastructures don't support the ability to actually put all these pieces together for these apps. So like the in-store app has a partial view of the customer. It may have a view of what the customer's typing in right there, and obviously it knows its location. A mobile app the customer's carrying around understands the GPS location of where they are, but doesn't necessarily know about what they've purchased in the past. So that mobile app is somewhat limited in what it can do. The customer relationship app has a lot of the history, but if it's not connected to the customer or the mobile app or the in-store experience, it's kind of data that's being unutilized. Order to cash process, certainly there's credit perspectives you want to have on customers to be able to offer them special deals and things like that as well. All right, let's dig into this a little bit more from a business perspective before we get into the technology. So what is the customer experience in a retail environment? Actually there's more to it than even backing up from here. There's actually back home on the websites or on your mobile phone back home where you're exploring various options to purchase something. And perhaps you want to go in and feel, touch, and see the thing, and perhaps you have some retailers that you particularly like going to locally. So you get on the road, you want to understand the closest location before you get on the road or as you're getting on the road. You want to maybe understand traffic patterns, maybe the quickest route, maybe some services they can provide to you in the car that gives you some idea of what's going on at the retailer, what kind of specials they have, things like that. When you get on the street, or as you're getting on the, getting to the area to park in the mall, you're gonna, wouldn't it be cool if there were sensors in the parking lot that could actually tell you, and that the retailer could plug into, is where to park in the parking lot, where the best spots to park are. Go to level D on the east side because you got free parking over there because the west side's all booked up. That'd be really pretty cool to get some kind of tweet on your dashboard that would tell you that. That's actually a good customer experience. Because what happens is if you're a retailer and your competitor does that, and they're in the same mall, for example, they're going to go park by their store, not your store. So that's something to be able to think about. Let's say you're on the street or in the mall and you're walking down the thing and it's lunchtime, and perhaps this customer is you've opted in. First of all, you want to be able to opt in. You opt into these types of services. If you don't want these types of services, you opt out. So there is a privacy set of concerns, a set of security concerns to be thought about here. But let's say we've opted in. We've got some of our favorite restaurants in this mall. Maybe there's a favorite pizza place in this mall we're going to. It is lunchtime. I'm going to pick up some clothes for my wife or something like that. But I'm hungry, and I get a tweet or some kind of a instant message from my pizza place that says, hey, look, your favorite pepperoni or vegetarian pizza, whatever it might be, we'll give you $1 off if you come in the next 10 minutes. That would be pretty cool. And now in the store, personalized service, GPS activated. Where are you on the store? Maybe there could be some kind of a thing that says, you picked up, you're in a certain aisle, or you're picking up certain devices that you've scanned on your phone to check out the prices. Hey, here's a special over here on this other type of product. Or you're in the store and you're checking out, and let's say it's a larger store. Which floor? Where's the short lines? You'd think the 3 or 4 story Macy's and Neiman Marcus's and all those types of things. I'm on the second floor. Jesus, an hour wait over here, but there's nobody waiting on the 4th floor. Maybe we go up to the 4th floor. Come up to the 4th floor. That'll be a great customer experience. Incentives to return. You're checking it out, and you've had the experience at CVS and some of these places where they give you coupons and things. That's kind of an example of that in real life. But these are the kind of things to fully engage with the customer, where it goes all the way back to their house, on the road, in the mall, on the street, in the store, and on the way out the store. You want to be able to touch them every way along the way. It's impossible to do this without an integrated IT infrastructure that's very flexible, that really builds upon the things we saw in the middleware demo last night, as well as in Paul's cloud discussions this morning. All right, so let's go look what's underneath the challenge here. To understand the customer, the innovative retailer needs access to legacy data while understanding incoming data in real time. So you see down here, there's all these data sources. Some of these things are legacy data sources, traditional data sources, mainframe data. There may be some mainframe apps still, traditional data warehouses and databases. You've got XML file or Excel files in certain types of situations, perhaps. Enterprise applications have their own data stores. But you got these new data sources and software as a service and cloud applications. We've got Hadoop. And NoSQL, some of these newfangled non-structured data sources to deal with. Because there's a lot of interesting data besides the customer records in CRM database or in some of the in-store cash management or inventory type management things. There's other things that are very interesting that are going on. So for example, some of the kind of data you might stream to Hadoop is if there were sensors put in the parking lot, and this is forward-looking now, because I'm not aware of any situation that's done this yet, but this is something people are thinking about. If there's sensors in the parking lot that can detect traffic patterns, and what the parking situation is, and the retailers in this, first of all, the mall owner could actually offer that as a service to the retailers and have them subscribe and pay some money, and the mall owner can make some money and provide better services for their mall. The second thing that happens, the retailers that subscribe to that and their IT infrastructure can have that, will stream an ongoing big set of information coming in from the various sensors around the parking garage, and that has to be stored somewhere. That's not relational data. That's the kind of that's basically big data in motion that needs to be put perhaps somewhere in Hadoop that could be analyzed later for various patterns for parking. But certainly in real time, you want to be able to analyze that data to make recommendations about where people may want to park. There's the beginnings of that already. Some of the malls I've gone to they can't have the ability to tweet me or IM me yet, but they actually have how many people are on different levels in the parking lot. The beginnings of the foundation are there for this kind of technology already. The way to be able to do that, you have to be able to integrate the big data streams and other databases and other kinds of things into real-time applications as well as business intelligence reports after the fact, so you can analyze ongoing patterns and make corrections and make improvements. So really what you want to be able to do is there's a better way than to sort of muddle through this and hope for the best. Enable your enterprise to understand your customers. With JBoss Enterprise Middleware, your IT team can actually solve the types of problems we described on the previous slides and offer the type of opportunities to your customers so you can be more competitive than you have been in the past. So now let's get a little bit more into some of the technology. So the first thing here is that this is the accelerate part of the JBoss Enterprise JBoss Middleware portfolio. Getting your products faster, getting your products to market faster, getting your services faster, being able to change your application infrastructure faster. This really depends on a lightweight, highly productive development environment. JBoss Enterprise Application Platform is an example of that. Running on something like OpenShift, Platform as a Service, where you have the developer tool change to fire up development environments on demand, on the fly. And there's going to be a whole bunch of sessions starting with the next round of sessions after this, all the way through Thursday. There's a whole bunch of sessions that are going to talk about that type of being able to develop and deploy applications on public cloud, on private cloud that can do that. And in fact, the 51% more, build 51% more applications per year is a study that was done by IDC with our enterprise application platform, comparing it to other application environments for enterprise applications. You want to be able to deploy with ease across on-premise, mobile, and cloud type environments. This is the hybrid environments we heard people talking about. And again, this is really leveraging something like a platform as a service, as OpenShift with your favorite development environments on it. Could be enterprise application platform for Java developers. It could be a whole bunch of other things that the OpenShift team supports in Ruby and PHP and Perl and all these other types of development environments as well. And now that you got the application deployed, you want to be able to scale that application. Because if you think about the situation I described, there's going to be a lot of variation in workloads. On a daily basis, an hourly basis, lunchtime could be a lot busier, evening could be a lot busier, Saturdays are real busy, Sunday mornings are dead. And you're collecting all that data from the parking lot and from your customers that have subscribed to your services, and that could be a wildly fluctuating workloads that a traditional IT infrastructure that's provisioned in a physical type environment couldn't handle unless you provisioned a huge amount of excess hardware. Something like a combination of OpenShift with JBoss Enterprise Data Grid, collecting all that data, keeping the most important data in memory, in cache, so you can get high performance access to that data to analyze it, is a key way to deal with that. So now that we have a way of developing applications and deploying them quickly, let's talk about integrating the data by building a data services layer. So we had all these data sources, whether they become live incoming streams from sensors and remote devices or transportation networks, all the way through traditional mainframe and CRM and other kinds of SaaS or other kinds of data. To get a holistic view of customer, and by the way, Pierre Fricke, the customer of your retail environment, has got pieces of data scattered all over there about me. And if you have applications or business processes that need either a specific view of Pierre Fricke to make their decision properly or a holistic view of Pierre Fricke, a complete view of Pierre Fricke, you need to be able to bring all these pieces of data together in a way that can be consumed by those applications and business processes easily, and not hard code it. If you hard code it, and you certainly can hard code it, or you can dump it into a data warehouse, overnight, or a data mart kind of a setup, those things are inefficient, not in real time. You're getting yesterday's data or last week's data in those type of scenarios. You need a real-time type of data access, and something like JBoss data virtualization platform can help you do that. Okay, so at the bottom here, we've got our ability to develop new applications and services quickly. We've got our ability now to bring data to the applications and services in a way that the applications and services can consume. Let's take a look at the next step up. We need to be able to integrate this application and data. That's Red Hat JBoss Fuse, based on the Fuse technologies. And then we have a product that's a superset of Fuse called Fuse ServiceWorks, which adds a business services layer and development environment and service governance layer above and beyond the traditional Fuse Apache Camel type integration constructs. So you use Apache Camel, the Fuse technologies to integrate applications, whether they be in the cloud, on-premise, or mobile, and then leverage SwitchYard. There's a session on SwitchYard. There's going to be a couple of different sessions on SwitchYard, the open source project that's part of Fuse ServiceWorks, that'll enable you to build business services like check credit, make a decision about what kind of upsell to do, decide a price for the specific customer. You can customize prices. You can have a service that actually customizes prices based on customer, gold, platinum level of customer importance, things like that. You can build business services that can be plugged into business processes. And so when people ask me the difference between Apache Camel and SwitchYard, for example, Apache Camel you can think of as technical integration services. These are the message routing kinds of things, camel routes, the kinds of things you do, fan out, intercept, wiretaps, those kinds of things. Business level services are things like check credit. There are higher level services that may consume those integration services, but they also may be rule services, they may be BBPM type services, they may be a whole bunch of other kinds of services that are rolled up into business level services that business people can understand and string together in a business process. Which brings us to our next step. Now that we have an integrated infrastructure, we got our data integrated, we've got our applications integrated, we have a reusable business service layer built on Fuse ServiceWorks, we can use our new BPM suite based on our Palamita acquisition, as well as our Drools and JBPM communities, again, which you're going to hear quite a bit about at this conference, to leverage the services. There's an event that happens that's captured by the IT infrastructure. You create an offer, that's a service. A calculated discount's a service, maybe on SwitchYard. Send an offer, welcome the customer. Those are business services. And the BPM suite actually then can connect those services and coordinate the workflows of those services and the interactions of that business process with people that need to participate from all the way from the customer near the store, including the customer themselves, all the way through the customer in the store and going out the door. And then finally, we heard Paul talk about xPaaS. So we've got our application platform on OpenShift today. That's an application platform as a service. People have been using that quite a bit already, and we've got a lot of exciting things going on there. xPaaS is about bringing the rest of JBoss middleware. It's about bringing mobile application development. It's about bringing integration development, integration infrastructure around Fuse. And it's about bringing business rules management and business process management to OpenShift. All of which now are in developer preview, all of which now you saw a good amount of that last night in action in the demo last night. And you'll be hearing more about that in the show. The value of doing this is that now you can run some of these technologies on-premise where it makes sense. You can run some of these on a private cloud where it makes sense. And you can run some of these on a public cloud and it makes sense, and they're compatible. Your integration infrastructure is compatible across those things. Your BPM, business processes, are compatible across those different environments, et cetera. So this brings another level of productivity to your IT shop that's now, all of it's in developer preview, and the application platform's already available for enterprise deployment. And so let's wrap. So if we do these things, if we do the things we have talked about here, we can deliver this vision for this innovative retailer, for this customer, that from end to end, from all the way in their house to what's going on the road, to when they get to the parking lot or the street, to bringing them in to get lunch to your business, to making suggestions about other upsells and cross-sells, to giving them coupon and special discounts that's customized to their particular needs. all the way to incentives to return in a holistic view, this customer is going to be pleasantly surprised. You can also then, if you don't have the stuff in stock, or you run out of the stuff in stock while they're on the road, for example, you can give them a message that says, hey, look, we just ran out of what you were looking for. However, we've got these other things that you're looking for, or we have another branch 5 miles away and they have what you're looking for. That would be kind of cool to get that message, before you go all the way into the store to figure it out. Because something that's a hot selling item might run out in a couple of hours. Sometimes you get that with some of these things. And so this is a vision for the innovative retailer. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ken Johnson, who's going to now talk about some of the customers we've been working with, get a little bit more technical about some of the details we've been doing with our customers, delivering parts of this vision as they march toward the holistic vision. Ken?
Great, thanks, Pierre. So the vision Pierre laid out here is comprehensive and honestly somewhat aspirational. As he mentioned, the parking lots are not sensor enabled yet, but this paints a vision for the future. What I'm going to talk through now is a few scenarios that talk about how JBoss Middleware is being used by enterprises today to gain key advantage with their customers, and also talk about some of the architectural and topological commonalities you see across retail scenarios. So the first one I'm going to talk about is an e-commerce retailer. And this is actually ice.com. And ice.com is a pure e-commerce retailer. They have no brick and mortar footprint. They were running a proprietary e-commerce stack all the way through a warehouse management stack. And what they've found is that they were taking it over 2 years to get to production, and they still weren't having the level of flexibility and throughput they were looking for. Every time they needed to make a change to the site, get new content up there, IT had to be involved. It was a very slow process, and they're about putting content online quickly to have the largest inventory available for customers. So they were not able to respond. So a new CIO came in and worked with Red Hat, and the basic solution approach is to move off this proprietary stack to open source stack consisting of Red Hat Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, JBoss EAP, and then to move the infrastructure out of their data center to Amazon EC2. Okay? And what this let them do is a couple of things. It put the business in control. The applications they were able to develop in 9 months on EAP, as opposed to 2 years on the prior stack unsuccessfully, they put the business back in control, because now the changes to the website, the changes to the content are handled by the business team rather than by IT. That every request doesn't have to go back to IT. This gives them a competitive edge in terms of responsiveness. They're getting 3 to 4 times more product up online on a daily basis than they were able to previously. That's a huge change. So it gives them a wider selection, better choices for their customers. They have elastic capacity to match demand. So look at the EC2 side of things. Their business from November to February, that's the peak of their business, the holiday season and beyond, probably right through Valentine's Day. And they need to scale up that infrastructure during that time and then scale it down for the rest of the year. By moving to EC2, they're able to do that efficiently and save considerable money. And lastly, this foundation they built enabled them to build some new mobile applications to interact with their customers. I think it's m.ice.com and others. So they have a new form of engagement with their customers to build brand loyalty and have a more modern engagement with their customers. So fairly simple, to Pierre's point, on the accelerate thread, EAP, RHEL, EC2, scalable infrastructure, more flexible infrastructure, and more nimble. Fairly straightforward use case and fairly significant benefits. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about more of a composite scenario that represents some challenges that typical retail customers that we work with see. So it's really a mishmash of various different customers' concerns together. I think even though it's focused on retail, it applies to other vertical markets where you have a kind of a branch office sort of organization. So most brick and mortar retailers have an infrastructure that's similar to this, although obviously vastly more complex than this simple diagram. You have your retail outlets that are typically connected back to your brand headquarters. You may have one or more warehouses or distribution outlets, and you probably have an online e-commerce presence tied into that. So you see, most companies you work with have some variation of this. So looking below that in a little more detail, in your retail outlets, you typically have your point of sale systems and other in-store applications that are governing in-store inventory, payroll, if not payroll, scheduling for staff in the office, in the retail outlet, et cetera, you typically have a commodity server or a very small footprint of compute capacity in the retail outlet. Back in your brand headquarters, you have your core business applications, your CRM systems, your accounting systems, et cetera. And out at your warehouses and distributors, you have your warehouse management applications, your inventory, shipping applications, et cetera. Likewise, there you have probably commodity servers or small cluster in the warehouse. In the brand headquarters, you have considerable compute capacity, of course. But what you often have is this pretty poor connection between them all, either over a WAN or other low bandwidth link, fractional T1, et cetera. You'd be surprised how many big retailers have really poor connectivity between their branch outlets and their headquarters. Okay? So this poses some challenges, and it also forces some behaviors. It typically forces, because you have a small footprint of IT in the store in terms of IT capacity, so commodity white box or small cluster, you probably have no IT staff in the store or minimal IT staff in the store. So it's led people to do kind of a batch upload model. I point of sale data, inventory data at night. I try and upload it. Maybe it fails because the link is bad. I try again. Eventually the data gets up to corporate. So the data is never updated, or not never, it's updated late at headquarters. It's updated late at the store. You have a lot of delays. So what people are using JBoss Middleware for, particularly in the JBoss Fuse and JBoss AMQ products, is to address that WAN modest bandwidth link problem with a store and forward messaging infrastructure. So what they're doing is moving from a batch delivery model to a message real-time delivery model, using a broker, a very lightweight footprint broker in the store with store and forward capability. The WAN is down, the network link is down, it's okay, I'll queue it up. As soon as that WAN is up, I'll fire the messages through. So as point of sale data is being collected, as inventory is leaving the store, that's updated to headquarters immediately, or as soon as the bandwidth link allows. Likewise, same thing between headquarters and the distributors and warehouses. So as warehouse inventory is leaving, real-time update back to headquarters, not a batch upload at night. So, and you're dealing with the unreliable connectivity. Likewise, you're looking for opportunities to simplify the in-store experience as well. So what they're typically doing is going beyond ActiveMQ, AMQ for connectivity. They're leveraging the Fuse capability, because when you're transforming, when you're sending messages over the link about inventory data, et cetera, from the store, you have to do some level of transformation of that data between the point of sale systems and the corporate systems. So you're doing some connectivity and transformation with a technology like Apache Camel. But you can use that same technology to facilitate integration across your in-store applications as well. And we see people doing that. And likewise, again, the blue circles represent, I say, the Fuse and traditional integration approach. It allows you now to integrate your gateway, which is the little 4 stack on top of your Fuse ServiceWorks gateway, with your core business application. So tie into SAP, tie into your HR system, tie into your other core business applications with Fuse. On the warehouse distribution side, allow your gateway to tie into your inventory management apps at the distribution center, to tie into your shipping applications, to facilitate notifications of product has left the warehouse, notify Fuse ServiceWorks in the center tier. That can either notify you back to the retail outlet, send the customer an email, et cetera. We'll talk more about that use case in just a second. So common topology, common problem. We see this across a number of our retail customers from small to large. So this is how you can address some of those same concerns. I'm guessing if some of you in retail, this is resonant with you. So an example of a customer that's dealing with this and has dealt with that successfully is Specsavers. Specsavers is an eyewear chain with over 1,400 retail outlets in Europe. The outlets are staffed with no IT staff, a very small commodity white box style server. They rely on batch delivery of inventory and cash register data back to the headquarters, and they're doing that because of cost constraints. They're trying to expand their business into emerging markets, so they just cannot afford to put that kind of staff or compute power in the outlets. And the out-of-date data was limiting the efficiency of their operations. So what are the considerations in retail? Anyone in retail know it's a low-margin business, right? So cost management and efficiency are absolutely key here. Their business was growing, as I said, looking to expand into emerging markets and markets where they could not afford to put down a large IT footprint. And they wanted to offer some new services like we're growing familiar with, that you can buy online and pick up in store. They wanted to offer this to their customers. To do that, they need up-to-the-minute inventory data. Is it available in that outlet or that outlet? Something Pierre talked about. So they moved to a solution of JBoss AMQ, or when they acquired it, it was still called Fuse MQ Enterprise, which is the predecessor version of AMQ, and some consulting. And what they were able to do is provide real-time integration between all their outlets and headquarters, so they could have that real-time inventory data on a per-store basis, and led them with a scalable, easy to maintain, and cost-effective solution. And they're able to provide the buy online, pick up in store capacity they were looking for. There's more information on this case study on our website if you're interested in that. And one more scenario I'll talk through here, and this is around improved customer retention. We're going to look at a women's fashion and accessories retailer, brick and mortar and online presence. They're a US-based retailer, over 500 stores nationwide. As I said, we're e-commerce application. They have warehouses around the US. They have integrated point of sale systems, but really a lot of different applications in their organization, not a very homogeneous IT infrastructure. Part of the problem is they have multiple different catalogs of their inventory and the products they sell. You know, they deal with different fashion, apparel retailers, et cetera, which have different catalogs. They don't have this information consolidated. It's just distributed across multiple data stores or data sources. They have just different business processes for dealing with these different vendors and their inventory, and many point-to-point integrations. So they came up with this idea. A goal they had was called Save the Sale. And Save the Sale was when a customer enters a retail outlet and they don't find what they want in stock, they want to enable the salesperson, the floor associate, the person at the point of sale to make a sale anyway. Do not lose that customer to a competitor next door, have them walk out and find it somewhere else. So they wanted to be able to give the associates the visibility into inventory at other stores, directly to another store, inventory back in one of their distribution centers so you can ship it to your house. So in other words, close the business even if you can't fulfill it in the store. And this is going to drive favorable views of the customer, of the brand with the customer, and have an overall improved customer experience. So what they did here is, in the retail outlets, they installed JBoss EAP, and this is the kiosk version. This is a version of EAP for sort of single user, small footprint EAP. And what that allowed them to do was deliver to the point of sale associate and the point of sale system up-to-the-minute inventory information of nearby branches, as well as at your warehouse and distribution centers. And they could sort the inventory by various filters, size, color, et cetera, based on what the customer was looking for. So it allowed them to help close the business at the point of sale, even when they didn't have the product in stock. Back at brand headquarters, they had installed JBoss SOA platform, which is now JBoss Fuse ServiceWorks in V6, just recently released. And this was their SOA integration backbone. This allowed them to do your typical messaging, transformation, ESB kind of capabilities, and facilitate some of the orchestration across different services to provide your business processes. They used SOA platform to integrate with some incumbent technology. They used MQ series was their messaging infrastructure, so that could tie into that. We don't necessarily replace everything. We come in and augment what's there. So we're able to integrate with MQ series. That system captured the special orders from the point of sale system. So customer says, yep, I would like to get that. Special request comes back. It would push that request out to the warehouse where the appropriate inventory was available. They would receive status from vendors if it had to go to a third party to fulfill that. When notifications came back from the warehouse, yes, I can ship it to that customer's house. That notification came back and was forwarded back to either to the customer directly through email status or to the point of sale if it could be shipped immediately. So it gave a much richer experience to the customer and was able to generate more revenue because the customer did not leave with only part of their order satisfied. So drive revenue, and they did this through leveraging existing fulfillment infrastructure. So they're still using their same warehouse, the same warehouse applications, their same messaging infrastructure, tied into that, augmented that to deliver a much better customer experience. And this established the foundation for the future, which is a centralized order integration hub, not just special orders, but generalizing this to orders beyond that. Okay, so I've talked about a few retail scenarios, and as I mentioned earlier, this doesn't only apply to retail. This kind of topologies and problems apply to any branch office headquarters type of scenario. And I'm going to give it back to Pierre here, and he's going to talk about the innovative insurance company.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, we're in the final run here before we go to Q&A. We want to explore a business level case about an insurance company. This will be a shorter story than the retail one because it builds on some of the same things. A lot of our technology is horizontal across multiple industries, and a lot of the same things play here. So let's see what we've got. So, to understand the industry, for an insurance company to sustain its growth, it's very important to streamline its claims processing, to reduce claim costs, to reduce overall operational inefficiencies, to certainly reduce the time it takes for a customer to be able to get satisfaction. And we've seen some of these things in real life. Anybody that's been in an accident, you can take pictures of your cell phone now, send pictures to your insurance agent and things like that. I mean, that's the beginnings of the types of problems that the new technology can help solve, is to reduce the time it takes to get engaged with the insurance company and get claims satisfied back to the repair. So insurance companies really have to be able to create those kind of services, but they struggle with legacy systems and things that were designed for durability as opposed to changeability. So many variables go into things like quotes, policies, competitive pricing, geography, demographics, claims, fraud, law, customer status, various things like that. Of course, the business, competition, time to market, those kinds of things. These are the kinds of things from quote to claim we have to be able to deal with in the insurance industry. And in fact, there's other types of industries that have similar type processes like this. So wasted time costs your customers. If you're in this business and you're spending a lot of time changing applications and processes, basically, IT understanding, what's your IT understanding of business policies? Do your developers understand the business policies and pricing rules of things like that? Inconsistent responses and processes. When a person submits a claim that has a certain set of characteristics and another person submits a claim that has the same type of characteristics, does it go through different inconsistent processes and give different results? Or do you have a consistent way of dealing with a similar type inputs? Manual changes to code, that actually slows things down quite a bit. And then really, the time here could be actually used to actually develop new applications, improve the mobile experience with the customers that are actually in the field, as well as your field agents, things like that. So I'm going to skip ahead here because the discussion we had about accelerating application development with our Accelerate products, our application platform, data grid, cloud, all that applies here. You have to be able to do those types of things to be able to become an innovative insurance company. You need to be able to integrate the data, get holistic views of the customer, be able to get views of what's going on in the field, what happened with this accident, those kinds of things. If it happens to be an accident type thing or a homeowners type thing or something like that. Then you need to be able to integrate those apps. The same discussion there with Fuse and Fuse ServiceWorks. The BPM here, BPM actually, again, streams the same type of events. You get an event that happens, a bunch of things get triggered off the event, whether it be an accident or a storm damages a home. The agent may go out and take pictures, or the customer, you actually want your customer to submit pictures even before you send agents out. If it's a car thing, it's going to be the customer and the police reports and things. You want to get real live pictures there. You want to get data on the ground right away into your applications and systems. You want to be able to assess the claim. You want to be able to have a consistent way of assessing that claim with something like a rules engine, depending on what kind of parameters associated with the claim, what kind of a customer, what kind of a history, where did this happen, what happened. And that will then determine the validity of the claim, the amount of what should be paid on the claim, what's covered, what's not covered, all those kinds of things. Calculate the amount, review the claim, complete the claim. That would be a business process system that would actually leverage a bunch of services developed on something like Fuse ServiceWorks to deliver that type of experience. And in fact, you want to be able to layer it like we've talked about here. You want to have applications and services being able to help support this, but you need to pull out, and this is sort of my rule for dealing with business rules. If it's versus doing Java code or PHP code or whatever you're doing. If it's something that's pretty durable and it's only developers that need to see it, write it in Java code. If on the other hand, it's something that changes quite a lot, or it's something that's really very sensitive to the business, where business analysts need to review it or be a key part of the team doing it and collaborate with the developers. If it's something that needs to be reviewed for compliance, how are you making these decisions and make it easy for regulatory people to take a look at? That's where I would bring that code out of your applications into business rules. And then make those decisions in a business process like this. And insurance is a great example of that because it's got all those kinds of features. And so, and by the way, when you do things in business rules like that, you can change prices, you can change regulatory concerns, you can change things in hours instead of days or weeks. Or maybe days depending on your testing instead of weeks or months, depending on what you're doing. So that's some of the power of this. And so everybody benefits when you leverage that infrastructure we talked about in the retail example under the covers, and then the more industry-specific thing at the business rules and business process level. IT has more time for improving other parts of the infrastructure, developing new applications, as opposed to doing rules changes, because you can have the business people, and the business people will be happier. The business people are going to have shorter time to market. They're going to be happier to be able to IT will be more responsive, so the business people are going to be happier and lower costs. And then the customers, the insurance company's customers are going to be happier because they're going to be able to get new, better, and customized products to their needs. You'll get faster and accurate quotes. They won't be just going back and forth as much. Easier claims process, so the customers are more satisfied as well. And so with that, we're going to wrap up. I think we wanted to leave you with a view that there is a business level vision to what we're doing here at Red Hat in our middleware space and our cloud space. We are actually working with customers, some of whom are featured in various places here, some of whom will be featured at previous Red Hat Summit, some of whom remain confidential. And so we really are executing on these types of visions. We have visions like this in other verticals, healthcare. What was it, last year? Last year I think we did healthcare, or 2 years ago we did healthcare, and we did financial, so we've got these other kinds of stories we've been working with as well in other industries. So enjoy the rest of the conference. Look forward to seeing you all at other sessions and the parties.
Thank you.
Thank you.